All right, ever wonder how much power you lose with a boost leak? Let's find out. All right, so we got this old first gem here, and I have not done a boost leak check on this thing. For you guys that are not familiar with the truck, this is the truck that I have had on the dyno for a little while, doing some testing and stuff on. And I'm getting now into depth into doing a few things on this truck to show what stuff does, like a governor spring swap, what timing does to it, you know, that type of stuff. See what kind of horsepower and drivability difference there is when we do that. First thing though, is I want to do a boost leak check, make sure we don't have any leaks. So for you guys that have never done a boost leak check, basically the theory behind this is very simple. What we're going to do is we're going to pull the intake boot off, and I have an adapter, I'll show you in a minute. Adapter that goes on here, and then we pressurize the system up so that we can see whether or not there's any fittings leaking, boots leaking, intake plate leaking, any fittings, any of that type of stuff. So right now I'm going to pull the intake off, put the boost leak check, the one I have, on there, and we will see if this thing's got any leaks. Then we're going to do a run. Providing I don't have to fix a bunch of stuff, we are going to do a run on the truck. And then we're going to make a boost leak and see how much difference it makes. Well, maybe loosen a boot off, make it leak, and then maybe we'll pull a plug out or something and make a bigger leak and see what kind of power difference it makes. You will have an EGT hike with a boost leak. That's the biggest one that I don't like. Obviously, you don't want to be down power either, but one of those things. So let's get that swapped on there, see what we get. All right, so we're gonna do boost leak check. I got my boost leak checker. This is one I've had around for years. I am gonna actually make some of these, which I have said before. But actually, now that I have the CNC lathe, I'm actually gonna make them. Start making a bunch of stuff. Looking at a CNC mill too. So we're gonna do some stuff. I got a guy that's gonna help me do some stuff. We're gonna build some stuff. We're gonna do some stuff. But take this off. You will need a 7/16 deep socket or an 11 mil. I don't know if they're actually 11 mil or 7/16, but either or will work. So get this big old thing off here. For this, you want to make sure you use good clamps. Don't use just a regular hose clamp, because when this shoots off, if it hits you, you'll be wishing you were not standing there. Ask me how I know. Hopefully that is good. I don't usually crank these things right up to start with. I usually only do about, I don't know, 10 pounds or so to start with. Because if you have a leak at 10 pounds, it's going to leak higher, right? Sounds like our intercooler has a big hole in it, which is not what I was hoping for. Listen, it's leaking in there. So if your intercooler is leaking, there is a downside to these trucks, is there is no direct swap in intercooler. There is, yes, you can fit all kinds of different areas. You can put one from a second gen, you can use one from a Power Stroke. You can use, there's a bunch of options, but nothing that's direct bolt-in. Which I think I might try to fix that problem, because this is a very, well, I'm going to say most of these trucks probably have an intercooler leaking, whether you know it or not. Unless you've checked it, very good chance they're leaking. Now this thing did make 195 horsepower on the dyno with that leaking. That gives you an idea. But nonetheless, if we're going to do testing on this truck, we need to fix that. So I'm going to have to see if I can conjure up a intercooler, as I honestly don't think that I have a spare one for one of these. I used to. I don't think I do anymore. All right, so you seen me doing boost leak check, and come to find out, the intercooler in this thing's full of holes. Well, it has some holes in it. I shouldn't say full of holes. So we're gonna have to pull it out and plug them, as I do not have another intercooler for one of these that's any good. So we're gonna have to plug those holes so that I can do this test. I was thinking, yeah, I don't know how bad the leaks are, so it's really hard for me to be able to judge the difference. So I'm gonna see if we can patch this intercooler. I'm literally gonna JB weld it, and then we'll do some testing. But figured I'd show you guys pulling the intercooler out. These really aren't too bad to pull out. Obviously you have to take the grill out, which is not that, well, this one's not that many screws because the grill's in rough shape. You have to take your marker lights out, one on each side. It's just 2 screws to hold those in, because there's usually a screw here. I guess I didn't have to take that one out, but this side does have a screw on it. And then there's screws across the top. That one's not attached. Across here, I know lots of these are like that. And then there is also one right there, one right there, one right there, and then another one right there. And then the grill will pull out. We're down to the intercooler now. So you probably could sneak it out of there with that lower valance piece in there. It's easy enough to take it out. Like, it took me 10 minutes to get this far. They're going to be 7/16 except for your crossbar. The bottom one there is 9/16. This one is 1/2 inch, and the rest of it is all 7/16. So pretty simple. At this point, what we need to do is we've got to undo the boost line, or your intercooler pipes, which is right here. I don't know if you guys can really see that. But there's one clamp here and then another clamp. You need to get the clamp that's closest this way. You can take the other side off if you want, make it easier to get out, but I should be able to sneak it out, I think. And then the same thing on this side. Same thing on this side. Just undo that clamp. I am going to put a little bit of WD-40. On those clamps. We'll zip them off and pull the intercooler out and see what kind of a mess we have to work with. Can't get my fat arm in there. Here's a question. Whenever you drop a nut, why does it always have to go down in there? It's always got to go down in there somewhere. And then, of course, everything's metal. There's a stick. Aha! Got it. What I do is wiggle them things loose now and it should pull it. Honestly, it doesn't look that bad. I guess we're going to have to make up some sort of adapter here so we can adapt this and see where it's leaking from. It's actually pretty sad. This intercooler, that's, I guess, one of those things. This intercooler actually looks pretty good. It doesn't look real bad, but it definitely had a big leak in here somewhere. Tube must be split on the inside or something, because even the other side of it actually is pretty, it doesn't look that bad. But she got a leak in her because she was spewing. Either that or something else wrong. And I pulled it apart for no reason. I don't know, let's boost. We'll have to check it and see. All right, so you guys can hear what's leaking. Of course, the air pressure is going to turn on. Soapy water. All right, well, that didn't go as planned. So I started rooting around at this thing a little bit, and well, this isn't even the bad side. Started rooting around at this thing a little bit, and that whole section is junk. I'm hoping it's not leaking any higher than that, but I don't know. So I just cut that 3 sets of tubes out. For what we're doing, it ain't gonna make any difference. Because this isn't staying in this truck. This, we're actually gonna put that, which used to be the one that was in here, we're going to put that intercooler in there. So this is literally just so that we can play around. So I use it's called DevCon, but it's basically JB Weld. It's kind of like JB Weld, but it's for aluminum. So we need to let that dry. I need to let that dry overnight. So we will be back. So we're back after plugging up the intercooler, the holes in the intercooler. I got the intercooler installed again. Clamps are tight. I did a quick boost leak check on it, and there is still a little tiny leak here, but this will do for what we're doing here. So we're going to dyno it right now. I haven't done any other modifications other than, well, fix the intercooler. So the last time, now the weather was definitely better. It's relatively hot today. So we're going to do a run right now. We're going to do a run, and then we're going to I'm going to take a plug out. Probably just take this, you guys can see that. This plug where my finger is right there. We're going to take that plug out to imitate a boost leak, which is a 1/8 pipe plug. I'm going to do that. So we're going to do a pull on it. We're going to do a pull on it, see what do we get. Maybe I'll do 2 pulls. Yeah, maybe I'll do 2 pulls. Get it heated up a bit, see what it does. And then I'm going to turn the fan on, let it cool off for 10 or 15 minutes with the fan on it, and pull that plug out. We'll do another pull. Maybe we'll do another 2 pulls and see what it gets. Because I'm curious how much does it actually make a difference with a boost leak? So, like I said, there's still a little tiny hole in the intercooler, but it's like 99%. I'm curious how much power it actually makes, because we made 195 the last time on the dyno, and now with no boost leak, I'm curious what it does. Like I said, the weather's not as good, but it is what it is. I'm just curious what it actually does. So let's see what happens. All right, so we got that test done. I was just gonna go over this quickly, see what you guys see what you guys think. It honestly is a whole lot closer than I thought. So this was the first runs, and we did 182 and 183 and a half. Yeah. With the plugs, with that plug missing, we did 178 and 178.8. So not a huge horsepower difference. You're like 5 horsepower. But I can tell you, on those second runs, it definitely got a lot hotter. You could smell it getting hotter. So the EGTs were definitely higher in the system. Obviously, I don't have a gauge in this. I should put one in there. But I was just playing around after that, doing a steady state run, and I think that I just killed third gear. So the transmission in this may have been very short-lived, and yeah. But we'll let it cool off because it's definitely hot. We'll let it cool off. I put it was half a liter low in transmission fluid, which really shouldn't have done anything. But we might have heard third gear. If that's the case, that might have changed the game on this transmission or this engine combination truck. Anyways, we'll see. Anyways, if you like this video, check out this one, and we'll see you on the next one.